is Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Hey, good afternoon, folks. My name is Dan Reddick here on the Real Men of Real Estate. You can find us every third Sunday at 1 p.m. at 1050 a.m. or 106.5 FM on your dial here at KCAA Radio. So thanks a whole bunch for tuning in. And thanks real quick here to my guest today, Michael Cormier, for joining us. Michael is a wholesaler working in Southern California who's finding his way through, really making a name for himself at this point. And so we'll be talking about his story, how he got into it, and doing a little bit different take on maybe some ways that folks might be able to get into this real estate investing business. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just to help people kind of understand what it takes to get into this, would you just start by sharing a little bit about you? Like, where, how did you get interested in this? Maybe what were you doing before?
So beforehand, I'm sorry about that. Beforehand, I was in the military, military background, and I just figured, hey, I got no one shooting at me. Why not give it a shot, right?
Okay, so you're just interested in real estate, generally speaking.
Well, so real estate overall it's kind of like one of those things that I knew about. I was like, oh, okay. Saw it, but I thought, you gotta have a real estate license and be an agent, and didn't really know too much about it. Just heard people talk about it, but I didn't understand how I could make it work for me.
Got it. So what got you over that hump? When did you know that it could work for you?
Well, I realized that it can work for me. I was doing, going into my, started personal development, and it was about 3 years ago, I would say, about 2019, wintertime. I was working for a private security company, and I was just seeing everything was kind of going around me. I'm like, there's got to be a different way. There's no way I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. Got into a personal development conference that was supposed to be hosted in, I believe, March or May, March of 2020.
Oh man!
And we all know how that.
Yep.
And then it went to virtual. And one guy was particular talking about the power of real estate. And he was telling me, he was just eventually telling everybody online is like, hey, look, you can do whatever you want. You can put your money in the bricks and have it work for you. I was like, wait a minute, I could put my money in the bricks and have money work for me.
That's a whole lot different than working security, ain't it?
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of different. You kind of caught my interest, and he explained how he has every building for every purpose in his life.
Interesting.
So he holds a rental to pay his car note for vacations and so forth. And I was like, oh, okay. So
I've heard of that strategy. It's useful to break it down like that, to try and just chisel away at one block of expenses at a time instead of trying to imagine this whole thing that's hard to get your head around.
Yeah, and he explained that, and I was like, wow, so I can have real estate to take a vacation? I can do that.
Yeah, right.
I can have real estate pay for my insurance and car note. Wow, this is really caught my attention.
Yeah. Well, and once you're done paying for the car note, that asset still produces income, and you can do something else with it. It's being wealthy is one thing, being rich is another. I'd choose wealth.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So those were some pretty key lessons. It sounds like that really forced you to kind of take a look at what you were doing and what happened next.
Well, the next thing that kind of happened was, now everyone nowadays has like a course. And so I
Hmm.
kind of got into, just wanted to check it out. And it was more of like an introductory course into real estate. You can use your, job to produce wealth, to buy.
Gotcha.
They just realized like, hey, it's not as hard as people think it is. You obviously
Hmm.
have to do a little bit of groundwork beforehand. So I got into it, created a business,
Okay.
um, started talking with CPAs and attorneys, and I'm like, oh gosh, what is all this stuff that I'm getting into?
Okay.
Attorney business, oh, picking out a name and saving up to purchase and just getting around this whole different way of thinking and
Hmm.
using my money. So
Okay. All right. So that's kind of the first thing. So what strategies were they talking about? Like, you're gonna dig in, right? So what did it look like then?
so their strategies, I mean, it was very simple. Uh, Strategy: use your 9 to 5 job to make generational wealth or to use it for you.
Hmm.
And that's all it was. It's like, okay, you're already working already, but what are you working towards? You know, uh, are you just going to go spend that money and
Hmm.
use it for something? So it's just putting money off the side till you had enough,
Uh-huh.
and just to talk, or not to talk, but to purchase your first property.
Got it. So you're talking strictly buy and hold at this point.
Mm-hmm. Or
Okay.
whether it would just be a flip. It just depends on
Okay.
what your game plan was. It's like, what were you going to use? What is your goal? Is this more of you want to have an asset that's going to be providing for you over a long period of time, or do you need this big chunk of change as far as to make
Hmm.
a different move?
Got it. All right. So you hadn't really got into the creative side of real estate investing yet.
No, not at all.
Okay. So you're looking for a chunk of change, right? You're trying to save up your pennies. So what happened? Where'd you go from there?
Where I went from there was is just like, okay, well, if I need to get more money, the only way that I know how to about doing that is to work more hours. So did that, was putting money off to the side, and then I slowly did that. As time went on, I got introduced to another person
Hmm.
who was doing a clever way of going about real estate and getting into wholesaling.
Okay.
So I invested my money into that
Okay.
and
So
said,
what is wholesaling? Just tell our audience what is that strategy?
so wholesaling is, you're pretty much going out there, finding a house that a person that wants to sell. You get it under assignment, and then
Hmm.
you send it out to a buyer, somebody who's going to do something with it. And then you just kind of tack
So when you
on.
say it under assignment, you're meaning that you have a contract then to buy it, and you're going to transfer
Uh,
that contract to someone else.
yes, I'm
Okay.
going to transfer that contract to someone else who is going to buy it at this particular price.
Okay.
Um, just for an example, just so the people who are listening, is for an example, a house is worth, we'll say, $700,000 after the after remodel value, or the
Hmm.
after repair value. There we go.
Okay.
They want to sell, and I get the contract for, we'll say, 500,000.
Okay.
And so I know there's a buyer or a flipper, depending on who it is.
Mm-hmm. It could be an end buyer, though. It could be anyone.
Just an end buyer in general. And they say that, hey, I tell them, hey, I've got this assignment under contract, and I will, my price is $550.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, they ran their numbers, do their due diligence, and they say, yeah, I want that for $550.
Okay. And so, all right. So you take a finder's fee for providing that opportunity.
Yes, I take a fee, and I just use big numbers so people can see, like, oh, you can do that. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
But so that's pretty much wholesaling, just in a quick nutshell. As I got into this other program that I invested in, talking about wholesaling, creative financing, doing owner finance, seller finance, and I realized, like, wow, I've really got into something that was kind of over my head.
Yeah, it's big. There's a lot going on.
Yes, I didn't realize how many moving parts were into that.
Sure.
Definitely something that I wasn't ready for, but I dove into it and kind of bumped my head a few times.
Sure.
And to realize that, hey, is this something that I kind of want to pursue for a long time?
Okay, so you got the bug. You've been bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So that's about the same time it sounds like you probably started trying to market and find your own deals then.
I did, and it was let's just say places in the United States are not the same on where you need to market it.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit when we come back, but it's about time for us to take our first station break. So thanks, Michael. Thanks for being here. I'm enjoying hearing a lot about this story because as much as I know you, I haven't heard some of this. So this is great. Folks out there listening, this is a great opportunity to hear how somebody kind of figured this out for themselves. So we'll come right back after these messages. My name is Dan Reddick here with my guest, Michael Cormier, on the Real Men of Real Estate at KCAA Radio. Talk to you all in a few minutes.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.wait/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 951-378-5316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Most mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station, KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Hey, good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to KCAA Radio here. My name is Dan Reddick, hosting the Real Men of Real Estate, the third Sunday at 1 p.m. each month. We've been talking with Michael about his adventures in getting into real estate investing. And so, Michael, you were working on kind of some personal development stuff, and that led you to folks talking about real estate in terms of buy and hold or maybe flipping in some cases. And you actually discovered wholesaling along the way and have kind of gone down that road. So I know you went out on your own and you tried that for quite a while, and you're still in the game. So how did you get started as a wholesaler? Kind of what happened first?
So dealing into wholesaling and what happened is good. I laugh at the story now just because it's kind of mostly in the past.
Sure. I have one of those, also related to wholesaling.
Just because I was like, I didn't really, this was a big thing. Like I didn't realize, like, oh wow, like, oh, as going through programs and you get your online gurus and realize that a lot of them really don't know what they're talking about, but they make it sound so easy.
Yeah. Leave all the details out, sell a course they started selling 15 years ago and didn't update. And
you don't need no money, which is true.
It's true.
Which is true. You don't need no money.
Just need your cell phone.
You need your cell phone and a lot of time. That's the one thing that they didn't really.
Yeah, you do.
Really talk about. So as I was going about this, I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna find people, that want to sell their house? And recommend is like, oh, you can go check for sale by owners on websites. Some people will start off with either Zillow, Redfin, and so forth. Checking them out, checking your for sale by owners, checking your people who are renting properties, calling them and see if they even want to sell. Okay. And as as people who have been in the wholesale side, they'll know that you'll get some very nice words and comments to you. Did I want to sell? Does it look like I want to sell? It says it's for rent. Okay. This is my price, so forth. If you can't give it to me, that's some very nice choice of words for you. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. No. So that route went very lovely for a while.
Okay. So you're using just for sale by owners at this point, or were you doing some other marketing to try and generate leads?
Originally, I was just kind of just doing for sale by owner. They did have a certain program that I can check as people who had like pre-foreclosures.
So you're buying lists.
Yeah, pretty much. I wasn't buying lists. I was searching for lists.
Got it.
On who to call and check out in the area and so forth. And I was doing those lists for a while, cold calling, and I realized that I absolutely hated cold calling, especially going into this brand new.
Oh yeah. If you haven't done cold calling before, that hang on, everyone.
Yes. Cold calling is they make it sound like it's a lot easier. Oh yeah, just get out there and call. People definitely sell you, a house. Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
After about a good 10 in a row where people are not answering or not interested or why are you calling me? Then I was like, okay, this is not how I imagined this.
Yeah.
And so progressing on and still calling people, and I realized that people just did not want to talk to me. And then,
Okay.
I understand why.
Well, I know we'll get to this later, but that's changed.
Yes, it's definitely has.
So you can
Definitely has
develop the
changed.
skill. So, but at this point, nobody wants to talk to you. You're trying to figure out what the heck to do.
Yes, and
Okay.
so I got into a different way of approach, was by advertising and using VAs or virtual assistants.
Okay.
Like, okay, yeah, have them, text blast out, sending text messages to people, and I could do cold calling on the side. So that way, I'm kind of double dipping my resources.
Okay.
And one thing I did realize during this process is you definitely cannot advertise in the Midwest like you do out here in the West Coast.
Okay, that's a story. Tell us about that. What's the difference?
Well, and the difference is when you're kind of doing your marketing out in the Midwest,
Yeah.
it doesn't. People kind of respond to you. I realized that I wasn't spending a lot of money in the Midwest as I was in the West Coast. I have to almost double and triple my marketing just to get out there, only for people to tell me no.
Got it.
So that was a very hard lesson learned.
Expensive lesson, it sounds like.
Yes, very expensive
I'm sorry.
lesson.
That is too bad. Oh man. So, all right. So that happened. And what did you learn, or what did you do different? How about that?
So originally I kind of just started off in the Midwest, and uh, as that was going, people were nice, that Southern hospitality, but overall they were kind of firm in what they was like, hey, not interested.
Yeah.
Don't call them.
Right.
And during this time frame, when I was doing this, was prime COVID. So this is, if everyone remembers that, in 2020, everyone, you can just throw your house on the market and everyone's paying
top dollar,
if not over more. And listening to the strategies that I learned from somebody was like, oh yeah, you have to do 75%. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not working. And that took a very hard lesson to learn, because I didn't understand how people were getting deals at 75% when everyone was paying top dollar.
Right.
And I wanted to know the formula on what they were doing.
Yep. You've got to find somebody who's got a need, something you can solve, right?
Yep. And
the market's solving the need right now, so that's harder.
And to this day, I still don't know what their formula was, as far as how they came up with, oh yeah, we're in the end, I'm guessing they're like, okay, we're gonna say we're gonna give you this, and then hopefully I find a buyer. And it seemed like that worked for them. It didn't work out for me, but hey, it was okay. I did bump my head, and I was trying to figure out, is like, how are people getting deals? I'm going into these Zoom meetings and everyone's talking about their deals, but
yeah,
when I asked about, what are you guys doing, no one didn't want to share. It seems like it was almost a big secret, or they're like, oh, we're using the formula. I'm like, I'm using the formula too, and it's not working out. The 75% rule is not working out.
Right. Now, especially in an increasing market, then you're always racing to catch up.
Yes, and the strategy that was being taught was good in a normal market, but in a market where everyone's paying top dollar, it doesn't work. And I guess everyone was trying to figure it out themselves on, okay, how are we going about this? People are buying, and what's the reason why that they're buying? So worked with JV'd with a guy on a couple projects.
So JV is that you're talking about joint ventures, so you're gonna work on deals together.
Yes. I was providing the leads, and he would go out there and pretty much check the house out to see if this was something that we would buy.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for a few months and did not get a single deal. People pulled out and so forth.
Oh no.
So that was a lesson learned. Then I decided to do it on my own and go to the West Coast and out in San Diego.
Okay. So you wanted to go do something even harder?
Yes. So I decided to get in a very competitive market and wasted a lot of money trying to advertise and say, hell yeah, hey, I'll buy your house.
Okay.
With that process now, or that process then, I would say, more people are, depending on where you're at, especially in a very competitive market, they're more.
And people on the coast are generally more savvy with real estate and what they can do, what their options are. They're more prone to taking risk.
Yes, more prone.
Just from my personal experience, going through what you've been through.
Yes, and again, that made me. I lost a lot of money in that process and wasn't able to recover financially at the time. During that,
be hard. They can be really hard. All right. Well, so you've gotten it all working, and we'll talk about that more just in a little bit. So, at this stage, you've kind of gotten a taste of it. You've seen what it is. You've tried it on the West Coast, and found out that it's tough here in Southern California. So, kind of before we go out here, what was the next step you took?
The next step that I took was being around other investors and like-minded people.
Okay. So kind of out of the mentoring programs and into the networking and education in your area.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a great time for us to get ready for a station break. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. For everybody out there listening, we are here on KCAA Radio out of Redlands. This is 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. My name is Dan Reddick. I'm here with Michael Cormier on the Real Men of Real Estate. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.waite/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 951-378-5316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. My name is Dan Reddick. I'm here with Michael Cormier talking about his foray into real estate and how he became a creative investor using wholesaling. So if you missed what wholesaling is, we talked about the last couple segments, and you can hear this playback on any podcast platforms. You can also find Real Men of Real Estate on Roku, and it also streams from kcaaradio.com. So with that, you're in the game now, Michael. You've learned a lot about what's going on. The market here is tough in the Southwest. What happened next? You're trying to find something, a way to some way to kind of beat through this obstacle. What happened?
What I did next after getting punched in the face, as I like to say,
oh man,
by the typical San Diegan, selling their house and kind of realizing that everyone pretty much wants market value for their house, no matter what I
no matter what the condition is.
No matter what the condition was. And as I was towards my end and I was running out of money, and I realized that, okay, I need to get around like-minded people.
Okay, find your tribe.
Yeah, and this is probably, I could say, out of a lot of things that my mentor at the time said, the biggest thing he told me was, he was like, go to AREA. And I was like, what the heck is AREA?
So what is AREA?
AREA, your real estate, I could actually tell you the whole details on what it stands for, but it's just a place where people talk about your investors in real estate, and they just get together.
People are doing creative strategies, though. This is not for realtors, generally speaking, although they're welcome and they do come and do deals with us.
Yes.
All right.
And I could just laugh about it, because I remember I was just like, what's AREA? He's like, well, check it out. I'm like, what's AREA? I don't know what it is. You're telling me to check something out that I don't know what it is. So he, as we were on our Zoom, brought me up and was like, hey, you need to come check out this AREA, which was SDCIA. I'm like, okay. So local San Diego Investors and Realtors Association. I was like, okay. I think I probably said that. I think it was Creative Investors Association.
Yes.
But I was like, okay, let's check it out. And I did this. I was like, oh wow, they actually have some good stuff here. There's people here. I don't even know what to do. And I realized that, as I seeing people and networking as they were talking, what was going on in the market, and I was like, oh wow, I need to come back. I was realizing I was running out of money. Actually, I was not running out of money. I was already out of money.
Oh no! Oh wow!
To pretty much do anything. And I was like, okay, well, I need to get into the room. I need to continue to get into the room and be around people. How do I go about this? As I was doing this, I remember in one of my personal development accountability calls that they said, hey, if you need to get into the room, you can always sweat equity.
Oh yeah, it works well.
So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I have nothing to lose at this point in time. Wow, I just go sweat equity. And I went the next RIA meeting that I went to. I was like, hey, do you guys need help? I'm here to pretty much, to do anything.
Right. I think I remember that actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that is where I met you.
Yeah, and and luckily enough, this is the first time in how I met you. And you're like, yeah, sure, you can come help set up. And I was like, all right. I showed up, and then I started talking with more people. And as I was kind of on my process of still marketing on what little money that I had left and that I was borrowing from people to still market in San Diego, I ran into some pretty interesting people who saw me, and they were doing deals and so forth, and they would always ask me, Mike, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting punched in the face. Can't get a deal. Yeah. They kind of laughed, and they're just like, yeah, I understand your struggle. And
was this Steve and Mike?
Yes, this was actually now, which my partners Steve and Mike
Yeah.
on
Okay. They're good
at the
guys.
time.
Yeah.
At the time, they were kind of telling me like, yeah, we got this guy, we're doing a deal, and I don't know why he thought he could try to take this money and run. We have, we've already signed all the contracts and agreements, and this guy's just trying to take the
Right.
money and run for whatever reason.
Okay.
But so what I was kind of getting back to what I was doing, so I just started networking with people and asking them like, hey, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What are you doing? And so forth, because
Talking about what strategies they're using, maybe what's working, what's not working.
yeah, what's working, what's not working. How are you getting punched in the mouth? Because
It's a hard thing to get over, it turns out.
yeah, if they say as everyone has a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and then now you're
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
But as navigating that aspect, people started talking about different different strategies,
Yeah. Okay.
and they kind of really went into, some people were talking about doing creative deals as far as like owner finance and seller finance. And I was like, okay, I understand it, but I don't really fully understand it.
Okay. So what'd you get into then? What did you learn?
What I learned is there's definitely multiple ways of getting a deal done.
Okay.
If you have if you're just a one trick show, then that's not always going to work with every single person that you come across.
Right. You have to be able to solve their problems. Right.
If all you do is, hey, I can get this under contract or assignment, and it's going to be a flip, and if you're looking at everything as a flip, then you're going to miss the opportunity for a buy and hold.
I gotcha.
Or is, hey, we're willing to sell, but we really don't need the money.
So maybe get some seller financing on that and ease their tax burden.
Yeah, we really don't need the money all up front, and
Right.
especially depending on where you are. Some people understand capital gains. And they realize like, hey, I don't want Uncle Sam, putting his hands and taking a lot out of my capital gains. And then
Gotcha.
you realize as doing a creative way, you can spread out the capital gains.
Okay.
That way, Uncle Sam is really not taking a whole lot. And it's like,
Right.
oh, fine. But again, that doesn't work with everyone's situation.
Sure. Just a couple examples on kind of what you can do.
Yeah, because you never know on as far as like, hey, do they actually have a place to go to? That strategy may work, but if they don't have a place where they're going to stay, then it may not work out.
Right. So you settled into this. It sounds like you found some people to partner with, and so working with these guys, you may manage to get yourself some leads, or what else was going on?
So after my end road of wholesaling, where I couldn't get a deal, and pretty much couldn't get a deal.
Yeah.
I ran into a guy named Steve, our partner Steve, and he just said, hey, I see what you're doing. Why don't you come work for us? Being you're pretty much doing the same thing that you're doing already. If it works out, put some money in your pocket. If not, then hey, no worries. And I worked with them and realized that the solution to all my problems was very simple. I just needed to do a little bit of tuning on changing the tone of my voice, how I got it, or changing the tone, how I would approach, and realize is like, hey, some people have a problem. You should, what is their problem, and how can you solve it?
Right. It's all about them.
And once I've kind of figured that out within just a couple months of doing some fine changes and tunes to myself, then I was able to get deals.
Got it.
And then deals kind of just started coming one after another.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, like, wow,
that was kind of this summer then when you got all that working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And deals started flowing. Now I'm having the problem is I can't talk to enough people. And I kind of laugh back laughing back now, 2 years later, it's just, wow, I couldn't get people to talk to me. And now I can't talk to enough people.
That's a great problem. Congratulations. Good for you.
So
you've got a system that works. You've figured out who you want to be in this world and how to kind of make it work, and you're on your way. It's kind of,
yes,
you're kind of there. This is great.
Yeah, one day at a time, and sky's the limit, and I plan on pushing it as much as possible.
All right. Well, we're going to get ready for another station break here in a second, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about kind of how you got over some of those hurdles and some of that personal development that it took to really tackle this stuff. So that's great. I love your story. It's awesome to hear some of the details I hadn't heard yet. So thanks so much. Folks, this is The Real Men of Real Estate on KCAA Radio, and we'll be back after these messages. Thanks for listening.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone out in Radio Land. My name is Dan Reddick here on The Real Men of Real Estate. Today, we're the third Sunday, 1 p.m. on KCAA Radio. You can find us at 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and on all of your popular podcast and streaming platforms. So we've been talking with Michael here about his journey into real estate, how he became a wholesaler, what went wrong, and a lot of the things that he had to overcome. And it's a lot of personal information, Michael. Thanks for sharing so much. So to solve the problems you just described to us, you had to kind of figure a lot of things out, but it's not how to be a better wholesaler that you had to figure out. So what was going on, throughout this journey?
Throughout this journey, one of the biggest things that I've learned on is you really need to fix you more.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, what I mean by that is, if you are not prepared for this, or and some people are not prepared for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you don't change your mindset and the way on how you think and how you process and how you go about a certain objective or goal, then anyone can say is, hey, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, but it looks scary. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to tackle that?
Right. And is it really scary, right? What's the actual problem, right?
One is figuring out what the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing, because you realize is, for me, like my problem was that I was my own worst enemy. It wasn't the people, saying, oh, why would you do that? That's stupid. And there was a lot of people who were saying that, and I paid them no mind.
Yeah.
It was, okay, here is a big thing that I need to overcome. How do I mentally prepare for that? And as I started getting around like-minded people, they're just like, okay, if you have a problem, well, how do you solve it? Well, who are you going to be around? You're going to be around. How do you tackle this? It's not about when, or it's not about the problem itself. It's how, what solutions and systems are you going to use to overcome that? Because anyone can go, I'll just use this as an analogy, as anyone can go run a marathon.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone can go run a marathon.
At various speeds, yes.
Yeah, at various speeds. You can walk it, you can run it, you can sprint it if you're really good.
Yeah, right.
But what are you doing to prepare yourself, to train yourself to get there? What steps are you taking? I was like, okay, well, do you run, walk, certain miles a day to prepare yourself, so you actually will get used to that, to getting your muscles worked? Because after a while, you're gonna realize, like, oh, hey, stuff is going to come up.
Sure.
Problems as far as like cramps, but
that's all the fears and things that we accumulated during childhood suddenly show up, right?
Yeah, that's for running. But as far as for my journey, it was having that self-doubt, like, okay, did you get in over your head? Is this something that can you really do this? Right. And that was very hard. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, how do I go about doing this? And you realize if you just put down do one thing a day, eventually you'll get there. Just like if you want to build a wall, you just lay one brick a day, and eventually you'll have a wall.
Right. Small bets.
Yeah, small bets, small wins. And sometimes a lot of people can't see the progression in the journey on what you do, and they're just like, man, and they'll harp down on themselves.
Right.
So one of the things that
it's easy to get negative when that's going on, right?
Yes, and that's why you definitely need to surround yourself with people who are positive. Like Mikey got going, you can keep going. What are you doing? Or like, man, I'm just things are not really working out too well. Like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, have you ever tried doing it this? Like, oh, I didn't think about that. Surrounding yourself with people who are positive. Surroundings is definitely a big key factor.
Okay.
Because if you're around negative people all day, they're just going to give you negative information and negative thoughts.
Yeah. Right.
Around positive people, they're going to give you positive feedback and positive.
And they're going to support the things that you do that maybe other people don't think are possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the hardest part I've had going through this stuff too, is the family and friends don't think what you're doing can be done.
And working on yourself is probably the most important thing, because if you do, and what I say is, everyone says the mind is a very powerful tool, but there is no way to gauge that. And I think that's what the problem is. People don't understand how powerful the mind is. As far as with electricity, electrical box, 1,000 volts, don't touch. Okay.
Right.
Lightning bolt, no, I'm not accurate, but I'm just going to use this as an analogy, 200,000 volts. And like, okay, you can gauge that. You know how powerful that is. But there's nothing to gauge the mind. So once you have the mindset and you realize you can do stuff, and once you start overcoming things, then you realize on how powerful it is,
right,
and how resilient and how far you can go.
Got it. Okay. So you went through the process of figuring all that stuff out so you could apply it to your dream.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful. So we're unfortunately going to have to go for the day. The show's almost over, but you know, this story is really personal, and you've shared a lot of details about how you've struggled through this to succeed at it now. If people want to hear more about your story, or maybe they've got a property that they would be interested in selling, if you could solve some of their problems, how can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me by email at mockinvestors, mocinvestors@gmail.com, or you can give me a call, shoot me a text. This is my personal number at 931-237-6982.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Well, Michael, thanks for being my guest today. It's truly a pleasure to have you here and hear more about your story. And for KCAA Radio and the Real Men of Real Estate, tune in next time, and I'll talk to you all soon.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.